Howdy everyone, I'm Corey with Art's Really Cool. Today is the 27th video of Painting's Really Cool. Alright, so I'm gonna do kind of a redo, but like a double dip of an inspiration. This one I'm going to do for my mom. It's more in memory of now to kind of give her a little bit of a send-off via something that she enjoyed. We did it together a couple times, the painting. It was really stressful for her, but she had fun, and it was fun to expose her to another creative outlet. She didn't do anything with it, like she didn't pick it up, but when I was back at the house in December and January, we came across a few of the paintings that we had done, and it was nice to remember, like, oh, we set it up in the garage, and I had to be like, no, go do it, like, just whatever comes to you, do it, just go for it. And in doing that, when we were first like picking out colors and stuff like that, because we went and bought all this, supplies, she wanted neons, and so I am going to make a painting with neons, and I'm still debating on exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do a swipe for sure and a blowout for sure, but how exactly it's going to end up, I'm not sure yet. The colors that I've got here are the pink, orange, yellow, and blue, no, not blue, purple, are all Artist Loft. The green is DecoArt, and then the blue is Liquitex, I think. And then I'll be using Artist Loft Metallic Black as the base, because, again, obsessive. And I'll be doing it on this very large 12 by 36 inch canvas. My mom had 3 boys, and this is 12 1 foot by 3 feet. So there's 1 foot for each of her boys. She was very passionate about her kids, so I thought it would be nice to pull together, I guess, something that kind of represents that. We'll see what happens. Half the time my paintings turn out weird and not like I wanted. This green is actually mixed with Australian Floetrol, and so I'll swipe. If I swipe, I'm going to swipe with that, and then when I do a blowout, I'll make sure that that's mixed in so that it'll create some lacing and webbing that way too. I think that is all I got for the opening. I've got lots more stories to tell you about my mom. The first video I did, I was more trying to educate on what I was doing painting-wise, and I've kind of veered away from that, and I do more stories, and you just paint with me, as opposed to me telling you very specifics and all of the things like I did in that first video. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next phase, and with the magic of editing, I'm going to be standing. Whoa! That one was so hard my shirt changed. Sorry. So sorry. Alright, so as you probably saw from the thumbnail, I was holding a little tiny elephant. I'm assuming you could tell it's an elephant. It is a precious moment, which was something my mom loved so much. She collected them her whole life, my whole life. In fact, I couldn't find any of my childhood ornaments. I didn't dig through all of them, but I couldn't find any where I did look, because she had wanted to replace all ornaments on the tree. She said all multiple times with precious moments. So most of the ornaments were precious moments, and then she had all the figurines and whatnot. So I just wanted to hold that out because precious moments were so important to her. She had 2 elephant ones, so I took those because elephants, and left the rest for my nieces and brothers to choose what they want to do with it. All right, so this is my metallic black. I'm gonna just pour it on as a base. I'll stretch out a little bit, but not off the edge. It looks kind of gray because I just mixed it, so it's got a lot of Floetrol. Actually just added into it. This was already partially full with metallic black. All right, gotta clean, gotta clean, gotta clean, clean. Now I get to have musical notes. Did you see them? Let me stretch this, make sure I've got enough for what I want. Ooh, no, I almost dripped in the colors. All over my tools. So it happens when you use big canvas, right? There's no room. Sorry. Bear with. Bear with. Yes, you know, you know.
Oh, hang on. Bear with. Bear with. Bear with.
Back to my mom. She loved TV. Her favorite show to watch was Supernatural. She was like borderline obsessed with that show. Almost like I am with Bob's Burgers. She loves that whole ghosts could be real, could be there. Like she always was waiting for a signal from my dad. She was so mad because he never gave her a sign. But, you know, he's busy. He's gotta go do stuff. He doesn't have time to leave signs. I'm not sure if that stuff's real or not. Personally, I don't know. But my mom loved that stuff. And I don't know if I mentioned this in a different video. I rewatched the video with my mom to make sure I didn't duplicate any stories, which I barely told any on that video. But I used to go into their... You guys would be surprised at how many ums and ahs I make Adrian cut out. Well, I don't make them, but he has to.
So many.
Right, so I still have trouble sleeping, but I used to have real bad time trying to sleep when I was younger, and I used to sneak out, and my parents always had TV on in their room, and I would watch their TV because their beds were like those medical beds, so they raised up and down, and there was like a foot, maybe a little more than a foot, gap underneath where I could like tuck under the bed, and then I could peek through the bed because they had a bed skirt. I could peek through the bed skirt and watch the TV. I feel like I told this story, so apologies if I did. My mom loved The Lost Boys, so that was on constantly. Do not like that movie because saw it so many times. And then Dante's Peak, with Pierce Brosnan and a lady from Terminator, maybe. Not my cup of tea, but yeah, I would hide under there because I couldn't fall asleep. And my mom, when she would get up to go to the bathroom, sometimes she would walk by and just like kick underneath the bed to see if I was under there. And then if I was, most of the time, she would tell me to go back to bed. But because she had trouble sleeping too, she sometimes would just be like 10 minutes. Or, you know, like give me like a time limit or just not care, which was cool. And then my dad would, when he would wake up, they got so used to it that it became like part of their habit to check for me. He would like lean over and like lift up the curtain and see if I was there. I don't like how that is looking. You can see it here, but maybe it's slowly developing, but I just don't like the green. We'll let it go for now. But my mom, when I was 2, was working at a bank, and she had an accident that was the bank's fault. Her foot got crushed with $11,000 in quarters, and it made her permanently disabled. So she was in a wheelchair. She could walk a little bit, but she could not walk for long or for very far. And it was a permanent thing. Like there was nerve damage that could not be fixed. And so maybe putting yellow and purple next to each other, I don't know if I like that idea. So I pretty much always just knew my mother in a wheelchair. Like she was my mom in a wheelchair. And because of that, and not the best diet, and she didn't know that she was borderline diabetic at the time either, but she ended up getting really big. And so she was very self-conscious. You know, obviously anybody who is larger, society makes sure that you feel, you know, bad about it. And so back then it was, body positivity was not a thing. And so she was constantly feeling judged, and there were people in our family that were clearly embarrassed by it and made that embarrassment known. Maybe it's just not doing what I want. Not swiping with the green anymore. Green is just going to be a part of it, and I'm going to swipe with white. The green, it has Aussie flow in it, but maybe it sat for a while and it's not as reactive. I don't know. It's just not doing what I want it to do. So I am going to start fresh, and because I have almost no space over here, I'm moving that out of the way, but I'm just going to scrape this off. So what was I talking about? I'm about to tell you some real traumatic memory for me, a really traumatic memory for me, because if you talk about it, it makes it less, for me anyways, it makes it less of a thing, like you just process it through. But we went to Disney World when I graduated. Well, I didn't graduate, but when I graduated second grade, it wasn't because I graduated, it was just in between second and third grade. We went, and my mom had always wanted to go in the wave pool, or I think that's what it was, a tidal wave pool or something. And she was in a wheelchair, of course, at the time, and she couldn't make the walk into the tide pool far, like she couldn't go far enough in so where it wouldn't hurt anymore, because obviously when you're in the water, its weight is not as big of a thing, so her foot wouldn't have hurt as much. But she didn't feel like she could walk her way in there, and so she was super embarrassed and upset that she couldn't. And the staff were very understanding and were like, no, we'll roll your wheelchair in to the point where you can get out and go in and enjoy. But she was like, it was making a big spectacle in her eyes. So she didn't want to do that because everybody would be looking at her. And again, she was very self-conscious of her size and being in the chair and stuff, because being in a wheelchair back then also was like, people were not friendly. So she just started to cry and wouldn't go. And when I cry really hard, when I was little, it was like kind of my job to keep my mom happy. Like that was something that I learned early on, that like I'm supposed to be the person that makes her in a good mood. That wasn't really a role that anybody applied to me. They weren't like, you do this. It was just, that's kind of how my mom raised me. And so I was trying everything I could. And again, remember, I'm like, 8 at the time, I think, 8 going on 9. I was trying everything I could to fix it and to make it so that she could go in. And I was trying to negotiate with her, and she just wouldn't do it. And I felt like I just started bawling because my mom was so sad. She couldn't do what she had wanted to do all this long time, and there was nothing I could do about it. And so just remember bawling so intensely. I was just unconsolable, upset because she was so sad. But the rest of the trip was great. That was just the bits I remember anyways, because again, young. One of the benefits, that was around the time when having somebody in a wheelchair actually got you to skip the line. So at the roller coasters and stuff like that, even if she didn't ride, we all got to skip and go to the front.
Nice.
So that was cool. I like that part, right? There we go. I told this story. Anybody that saw or was at my mom's memorial service will have heard this story. But I was kind of a sciencey kid. Not really, I wasn't super, but I loved microscopes. I loved the idea of being able to look at something a lot bigger than it was. And my parents got me I got 2 different kinds. One I don't know. They weren't at the exact same time, and I don't know which one of the two. I haven't looked at you guys in a long time. But either it was the one that had like a really big like monitor type thing, like so it had like almost like a little TV screen that was like this big, so you didn't have to like put your eye on it, or it was the one that was connected to the computer and you were able to put it in there and connect it to the computer, and the screen becomes the view for you. Well, I wanted to look at blood. Well, I don't know why. I wanted to see blood. I was not, like, I actually will pass out if I see blood in larger quantities. My body does not like it. It's not a choice. It just happens. I couldn't bring myself to, like, prick myself. I just wanted, like, a little droplet, obviously, because you don't need a lot to look in a microscope. And I couldn't bring myself to do it, which I still struggle with today. Like when I do like those home biometric screening things, you just need to prick. I think I was able to do it the last time, but normally I have to ask somebody to help me because I don't know, it's too intense. But I went down and I was like, well, maybe my mom will give me blood. And she was down in her room and I asked her, I was like, Mom, I want to look at blood under the microscope, but I can't do it to myself. Can I have some of your blood? Oh, it's running off the edge. And she was like, sure. How much do you need? And I was like, not a lot, just enough to put a droplet on the slide or whatever. And she poked her leg and got a lot of blood and gave it to me. And I went and looked. I don't know what I saw. I feel like I didn't see anything because that's pretty much where the memory ends. But I know she gave me a bunch of blood and asked if I needed more. I'm just doing chaos because that is, my mom was kind of chaos. Just FYI, that's why this is a really good swipe. This one drug through real nice. It's gorgeous. So my mom didn't really cook very much. She could cook okay, like she wasn't like a chef. My dad did most of the cooking, and I think part of it went back to the whole being handicapped. It was not easy for her to stand and cook for very long, and we ended up getting our house remodeled or whatever at one point so that it was more handicap accessible, and it got where the kitchen, like the cooktop, was over an opening that her chair could go under, so like she could cook again, which she would do a little bit. But what I was going to tell you about is she used to go crazy for the holiday and bake a bunch, like all of the baking. She'd make candy, she'd make cookies, she'd make like deep fried things. I don't remember what they are, but she had like a still or something, almost like a stencil, but it was, you would dip it in the batter and then dip it in the, I totally forgot about those until right now, but it would like make kind of like funnel cake almost, but like you dip it in the frying oil and then put it off to the side. But she would do all this stuff, like, and like cute like little decorations and all this stuff for all my dad's coworkers and the neighbors and just all these people. She was like Susie Homebody for the holidays specifically. She didn't do any of this stuff for anything else. But I always loved it when she did this because then, you know, being that I was in the house that all of the sweets were being made, I got a lot of extra sweets. She was generous with them to a point. Like some things she made the exact right amount, like there is no extra, and we were not allowed to have any or to touch them at all. And then other things she like maybe would have a batch messed up and would totally be fine with us having like a large quantity of them. My mom loved the game Free Cell. I don't know if you know what that is. If you've been around for a while with computers, it was one of those games that was like default almost on the machine. Like solitaire, it's a form of solitaire. She played, they were numbered, the games were numbered, and she played, I think, every single one of the 80,000 different varieties or something there were. Like, that woman loved her some Free Cell, but I did not. She didn't like playing games with me, though. She didn't like feeling like she was getting beat constantly, because she wasn't really super good at games. She just had bad luck, and my dad was very good / lucky, so he would get like, they would play card games and he would get all the best hands you could get and all that stuff, and my mom would get stuck with everything horrible, and it just, she didn't have good memories of games, and so I got kind of screwed on that end. And my brothers, the one brother is 7 years older than me, and we did not like do anything together, but the other one was notoriously a cheater. And he'll admit it. He's not this way anymore, but he will admit that he was a big fat stinking cheater, and so it was not fun to play games with him. I'm totally fine with losing. Like, I'm just like anybody else. Like, I like to win. Like, it's about the fun for me. Like, I don't like sports intensely because they're too competitive. I like the ability to just, like in baseball, I like just hitting the ball. I think that part's enjoyable and fun. In golf, I like just hitting the ball. Tennis, I like just volleying back and forth. I don't like trying to, we need to go once the weather's nicer again, but I don't like to try and like dominate the court or do any, like, it's just like, I'm just trying to have fun. And for me, that is as simple as taking the competitive aspect out and just making it more like, hey, let's just do the thing together. And, you know, like, although Adrian is a little competitive, but not in a bad way. Like, he is not a sore loser if he loses, or at least he hides it well. But he does, like, he plays to win. Like, he wants you to lose and be sad with your life. And I'm just kidding. That
escalated really quickly.
Anyway, so my mom wouldn't play games with me because she was a bully. No, I'm just kidding. I do have a little bit of resentment just because all I wanted to do was play. I was very big about games. Like, I love games. She was home because of her disability. She was home all the time. So, like, my dad worked, and, like, gameplay wasn't an option for him when he got home because he was tired and didn't want to deal with that. He would play when we got a little older. My dad became a lot more playful, and we used to play. Still on my phone, I have a note where my dad and I were playing Phase 10, and I'd keep track of our scores and whatnot. We'd, tally who won or whatever. But that was after I was out of high school, like when my dad went, like, you know what I mean? Like when I was a little kid, I just had nobody to play games with. Feel bad for me. Now I do. Adrian plays games. We're gonna play a game maybe today. We like to play kind of almost like escape room game, but like the board game versions. We want to do an actual escape room, but I totally had every plan on doing that. So I am better about it now, but once I got older, I think I mentioned this before too in a video, but I stopped liking getting gifts. Like, I don't want Christmas presents, I don't want birthday presents, because they come more with an obligation than like somebody just doing it out of the, goodness of the idea of gift giving. And my mom struggled so hard with this, like with me not taking gifts, that she always still had to get me at least something corny or something little. It wasn't like she was buying me some fancy thing. And one year, I was still living at home, but I think I was in my I moved out when I was 23, but I think I was in like 20, 21, maybe 22. She bought me, she bought 2 Nerf guns, I think. She expected me to, she was gonna, like, for my brother and I, but my brother didn't live at my mom's house, and he wasn't super playful in that way. I don't know if he is now or not. I feel like he might not be, but I decided to turn the weapons against her. And I started shooting her with the Nerf guns, and we ended up starting to have Nerf gun wars. She would get all into it. It was like, and she was in 50s, easily 50s, I think. Almost 50, if not 50. But we did this like, even when I was in my mid-30s. We would still do this like if we saw each other. But at the time, she was like, I think 45, maybe 47, something like that. And she would get all into it. Like she would duck and dodge and do all this stuff. And I would always aim for the face because that's what I would aim for. Well, like, so, you know, Nerf guns, they sting a little, but they don't really hurt. And she would react so much more, like she'd be all like, ah, like, sorry, had to do a camera adjustment. She would just react so much more, like when you get her in the face, she was like, ah, oh my gosh, ah. And like she would be super expressive in the face. It was fun and funny. And she, you know, wasn't afraid to go for the face either. Like, she played dirty too. It was just pure fun. Like, I remember, I didn't think it was that funny, but she died with laughter. Like, curled over, crying, because we were in the house and I was ducking behind this like banister kind of thing that my parents have. I was like ducking down and then I would just move over to like the side and pop up and go like that and then like shoot at her and duck down and pop up somewhere else and make weird faces while I was doing it. And she was like, she couldn't handle it. She could not handle the faces. She couldn't handle the fact that I was popping up all random. Like she was dying with laughter. And that's just, it's one of my favorite memories of our Nerf gun wars. Is just because, like, she just is so pure joy. She had pure joy. And my mom didn't have a lot of that in her life in general. Like, she found the love of her life, and that was great, but, like, she had a really rough childhood, and with the accident and then the gaining of the weight and all of that, like, she just wasn't super confident and didn't have lots of joyous moments. She would get caught in the dark sometimes, the dark parts of life, and so it wasn't always sunshine and roses, but that moment was. She also came back with me when I was going to move from Arizona. I needed to get my house ready. I was going to rent the house I had down there. I was going to rent it out, and I needed to get it ready for that purpose, but like I still had to work, and it was not going to be as easy as I would like. That pink seems to be dominant in most. It's just a very dominant color. But so she came back. We did this road trip and we came back, and she would get hyper focused. My mom had ADHD, undiagnosed, because she was not good at talking to the doctor, but like she very much had it. So she would get hyper focused on stuff, and she spent 2 days cleaning the oven, which wasn't that bad because it wasn't used that often. She like was trying to get every nook and cranny, and I was needing like the house to look good for photos. Not that we weren't trying to do deep cleaning in that first moment. We were just trying to get it photo ready. And so she was spending all the time cleaning the inside of the oven, which wasn't going to be photographed. Like, and I was like, come on. Oh, I prepped this palette knife without pouring.
I was wondering what you're going to spike, and I was like, he has a plan.
I don't have a plan. Yeah, so she came there and helped me get everything organized and prepped and ready. And I was able to get somebody in so that when I moved, I would have the ability, like, you know, because I was going to build a house here in North Carolina, and for financial purposes, like I had to have the mortgage of my other house accounted for so that I could afford a house here. Otherwise, they're like, you can't afford 2 houses. Like, you don't make that kind of money. It was fun to have her there. My dad was like, okay, I need her back now. It's been a long time. Like, he was fine with it at first, but she was there for like a month, I feel like, which was a long time. Believe me. Like, she was helpful, but my mom was also a lot of work. I don't like this line I made, so I am going to swipe through it. While my mom was in Arizona with me, her birthday happened. And so we went out for her birthday, but I was like, well, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? she was like, I don't know. My mom was really bad about making decisions. Not that I'm great, but like she was really bad. She just wasn't allowed to do it as a child, so she didn't develop the ability to do it as an adult. I was like, well, what about sushi? Because I had just recently started having sushi and enjoyed like the cooked, the non-real sushi stuff, if you will. And so I was like, you've never had, or I don't know if she's had sushi or not. I think she had never had it. And I thought, well, this could be fun to experience. But she was really nervous and she was like, I don't know. But I was like, no, we're going to do it. And we went and had sushi. And then she was like, well, I'm touching the thing. She's like, I would like to see a scary movie. So she really enjoyed the sushi. There's a couple pictures that we'll put up of her holding up her sushi. She enjoyed it. And then she wanted to, like I said, go see a scary movie. And that scary movie she chose was one of the Paranormal Activities, but it was like the third or fourth. I don't know. It was not the first one. And we got there and there was literally nobody else in the movie theater. Like, it was, and this was before, like nowadays you can catch that a lot actually. Like in the last year, Adrian and I have been the only one in the theater at least twice, and then I went to a movie by myself once when I was out of town and I was the only one there too. It's not that hard because people still don't go, I think, because of the pandemic as much, and they're expensive. I made fun of her because of it, and then she fell asleep during the movie, which was really funny to me. I was like, this is hilarious, mother. Now I'm gonna do blowouts here. My mom always wanted to help, especially as she got older. She always wanted to be of help, of service. So when my dad passed away, she came here for a couple months maybe to try and just get away from our house of 40 years and like get a second to process and all of that. Like all she wanted to do while she was here was help clean up the yard or help do that. She loved cleaning yards. But like sometimes it was a bit much like, Mom, just relax. You're here to relax. And she was like, no, what do I got to do? Can I do this? Can I do that? But let me blow this out real quick. I just want it off this corner, and it's like the one part that wouldn't move. So annoying. Do you think my mom would love this? Because she likes bright colors, but she also loves pastels, which I kind of find funny because they're like polar opposites of each other. Yeah, I think that's that. This one's for you, Mom. All right, so we'll do the wet version. Maybe Adrian will do a dance break. I don't know. He hasn't eaten yet today. He might be a little lethargic. And then I'll show you the dry version. All right, so it's pretty cool for the most part. There are things I like and dislike. I love the vibrancy of it. Like this, my mom would probably want this up in her house. This over here kind of feels like a little one-notey, but I also love the little cells that are showing up all over. It's interesting. But the swipes, like the differences in them, like you can see color pull through, like the blue pull through, some on that, the pink and green, like it's distinct in its differences. One thing I don't love is that this bit right here, the first one, got poured a little too much off the edge, but I still think it is a pretty solid piece overall if you love neon. And we'll show you it in blacklight when it's dry. Told you he was hungry. All right, so here it is. is, I think. I can't see. I have to hold this camera up really high to get the whole thing in. But pretty cool. I like it a lot. This blowout area is really soft and like it's like smoke, almost like neon smoke, which is really kind of cool. But then you've got all of these different swipes, and a lot of them, the color carried through into the lacing. So you've got some pink that was pulled through. Over here it's yellow or green, one of those two. This one's got green. I mean, look at that. Like, that's just like the green all around that red is so cool. And again, pink is just really, really awesome. And overall, I like it. But the coolest effect is, ta-da! Look at it. The black light did exactly what I wanted it to. It's so cool. All of the different bright shades showing. Like this one's so cool. I just love this one so much. And then this one, they're all just so cool. This one kind of looks like the United States a little bit. This is Florida. But anyway, so look at it. That's all cool. Like, it's just very, very cool. I think it turned out really well. And if we were able to have a black light at our art show, we would probably try to sell it like that. But anyways, hope you enjoyed. Bye.